Yes.
And then that way you have enough soil space that the plants don't dry out. You don't want it to become a problem. If you're having to babysit this thing constantly, what fun is that?
Yeah, it's not.
For the flowers, not for watering. You know?
And you're gonna get it really beautiful, like we have here.
And there are so many things that you can do right now.
Oh, sure.
Right now.
Right now you can do it.
Now, again, frost-free date, May 15th in this area. So May 15th, pretty long time from now.
It is.
We have to go through all of April.
Right. Still got March.
Right. And then half of May before we can do those other things. So
I can't wait that
you'll
long.
have all of this color happening. I was looking at how many flowers there are as far as buds go on
tons.
that English daisy.
Look at that.
Yeah. And again, there are fragrant plants.
Yeah.
So make a combo pot for now.
Right now. Yeah.
Right now. Get out there and put it in. And man, it'll make you feel so good.
Oh, yeah. Ooh,
it'll make you feel so good. And that with just do it and then pop them out. And again, they're perennial and that they may disappear. Like you may have them disappear. Like if you're using like, say even like the daffodils that we have here, like they'll eventually disappear. Pansies in the summertime disappear, but they come back.
Right.
So what to do is do that winter pot. And I'm calling it a winter pot, but it's really an early spring. It's late winter, early spring.
Yeah.
And then do that. And then the next one, we'll talk about that in May, but that's the one that's going to have all of those annuals.
Right.
And then when the annuals start looking a little funky, what do you do?
Pull them out and get rid of them.
You can pull them out and get rid of them, right?
Get new ones.
Right?
Cut them out, yeah.
You got it. What you do is you cut them back. Cut them back. Don't fear the shears. Don't fear the shears.
Yeah, and if you have a pot, bring it into the garden center if you like, and we'll get it together for you.
We can. Yeah. We are there to help you put it together. I mean, I keep marveling at all of the options that we have. Primrose. Primrose. It's a time for primrose to be in flower.
I love them.
And I'll tell you what, it is a great time.
Yep. It's a great time. Yeah.
That's right. And listen, if you're in doing things now and putting those pots together,
right?
I can't go back. I go back to the feeling that we get. We garden,
right?
Not because we like to take care of gardens. We garden for flowers.
Oh, yes.
And there are opportunities at your garden centers now that you can go in and create those mixed containers that have a different look than those plants that you put in later on.
Yeah. And it's contagious, boy. I put out a pot, and my neighbor all of a sudden sees it. Oh, I got to get some flowers. And, it's contagious.
You're practicing social distancing, I hope.
Yes, I am.
I was thinking the other day, this is a great time for people that don't like their neighbors. They have a built-in excuse not to have to talk to them.
Oh,
anyway, all right, that's another subject.
That's right.
Anyway, and again, so we're talking about 3 seasons, right? So we have late winter, early spring. Then we have like mid-spring, summer. And then we have fall, and then you redo those pots again in the fall, and that's where you can put in things like asters and mums and pansies again.
Yeah.
And then bulbs in the bottom. Pop up in the spring, and use ivy to hang over the pots. You can use ivy now. Ivy is a plant. Just make sure you're checking the variety and checking the hardiness.
Right. There's so much, folks, out there. Just come to the garden center. There's plenty of beautiful flowers right now.
There is. Go to your local garden center. Yes. Come to Bloomers. Just get outside.
Yeah.
Again, garden centers are an agricultural conduit to grow food. Okay, but that doesn't mean that they don't happen to have flowers too.
That's right.
All right. All right. Just making that clear.
That's
just
right.
making that clear. And then again, you do that fall display.
Sure.
Then Christmas comes, you get some evergreen branches, throw them
outside,
in, some white snow branches.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
You get some things that are buried. Right?
Oh, yes.
Your favorite. You got to go to your backyard and harvest. What do you have growing in the backyard?
Winter berries.
Winterberry holly.
Wow.
Yeah. All right.
It's continuous, folks.
It is.
Yes.
It is continuous. But get out there and get a mixed container of the early spring, late summer, or late winter flowers.
That's right.
They'll make you smile every time you go by.
Yes, you will.
All right. We've got another segment coming up. We'll be right back right after this.
My dad came to live with us last month, and It's going pretty well.
I feel like I never have time for myself.
With him being around more, it really lets us catch up on things.
His memory isn't what it used to be.
We get up and we have coffee.
He usually wakes up at 4:30.
Then we go for a walk.
He needs lots of my attention.
I do need to keep an eye on his medications, though. That's important.
Sometimes I feel like a pharmacist.
I'd say John and the kids are adjusting pretty well.
They honestly have no idea what I'm going through.
It can be a little challenging,
Help.
but so far so
I
good.
could really use just a little help.
For those dealing with the daily struggles of caring for a loved one, we hear you. That's why AARP created a community with experts and other caregivers for advice, tips, and support. Together, let's help each other better care for ourselves and the ones we love. Visit aarp.org/caregiving. A public service announcement brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
WWDB Philadelphia, 860 AM.
Good morning, Philadelphia. My bad, Wayne, jumping on you. I figured I would just throw it in there and kind of get it all started this morning. How's it going?
Not too bad. Living in isolation up in Allentown during this crazy time. But yes, everything is good. It's nice to not have to do that morning commute down to Philadelphia.
Excellent. Hey, did you get any snow up there?
Actually, no. It's turned to rain over the last 24 hours. So today's a pretty bleak, dreary day out there. It's wet, grey, and pretty miserable.
Oh, I feel the same way. I got up this morning. It was right about 34, 35, and I was like, oh, I wonder if Wayne or the Poconos or anywhere got some snow. I was going to be jealous if you were out in the snow.
No, unfortunately not for us, but maybe the Poconos may have got a little bit, but for us, it's just wet.
Okay. Yeah, my dad was saying, I think yesterday morning, it was like 13 with the wind chill up in the Poconos or something.
Yeah, it was cold. Yesterday morning around 7 a.m. I was out at the Little Lehigh practicing the art of fly fishing as I normally do. And let's put it this way, the water was warmer than the air temperature.
Oh, isn't that weird when it's like that, isn't it?
It is. It's like I kept my hands in the water to stay warm.
Oh, how's the fly fishing game going? You feeling good for the season?
Yeah. I mean, 2020 has started off pretty well for me. I've had a couple of really nice trout out of the local streams and been busy using this quiet time when I'm not working to be restocking my flies. So, yeah, I'm doing pretty well.
Is the season now open?
No, it's actually just closed. And it will open again at the end of the month, 1st of April, I think it is.
Okay, and I just saw something due to the state we're living in. I guess they're going to open the entire state at one time instead of being staggered for Pennsylvania.
Yeah, all in one hit, which is it's either going to be a good thing or a bad thing because it's normally pretty crowded on opening day anyway.
Okay,
I'm not sure that's the wisest idea because I can just see lots of fishermen standing 6 feet apart all the way across Pennsylvania in every possible river they can fish. So it'd be interesting.
Now, is the season, do you know, I guess it's not really on topic, but just since we're on it, is the season still opening a week early for kids?
I think they are still doing that. I think. Don't hold me on that one.
No, I was wondering. Someone was just trying to convince me that I need to get a fishing license and get the kids out fishing.
I agree. There's no better way to get them to understand nature and the world around us. And, when the world is changing as it is right now, there's no better way to get out and be isolated than be in the middle of a river.
No, that's for sure.
Or a pond. So it's definitely worth getting them out there and seeing it.
See, for me, it's tough. I was always a saltwater fisherman. I'm going to have to make the conversion, I guess, to freshwater.
Yeah, I mean, I consider myself an all-rounder. I do lots of different types, and I love sea fishing as much as I do freshwater.
Okay.
It's just you know, it's opportunity. There is definitely more opportunity to get out on the water if you're open to lake fishing and river fishing. So
For sure.
yeah, I mean, as a kid, you still get to learn a lot about it. You still get to see nature up close and personal, and I think that's definitely worthwhile.
Oh, absolutely. I'll tell you what, I especially in this time, being able to find anything outside where there's not people is a a great thing.
Oh yeah, yeah. Just to be, you know, I've been taking my kids on bike rides. We've been doing walks around. So yeah, it's been pretty good.
Yeah, we did the same. We did like about a 4 mile walk on Saturday. I was feel like everyone was getting a little stir crazy or cabin fever or whatever you want to call it. And then sounds like we're only in just the beginning.
Yeah, it's our first week of everyone being home. I think by the end of by Friday evening, we was all snapping at each other, and it's a tough time, and I'm sure everyone's going through it. And then there's the whole guilt thing when you're trying to work from home. Is like, this could be a great time to spend time with your family and have some quality time, but you still have to earn the money, so it's a tough one.
No, it's true. You know, I had a relative appreciation, I should say, for it, but I was not at home most of the week last week, being that my business is still open.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing was Friday, my wife had a bunch of meetings and stuff like that, so I took the day to work from home, and it gave me a new appreciation for truly how difficult it is.
Oh yeah, I mean, when you've been in an office and you're used to that environment, trying to set up at home and get everything running, and then, you know, staying focused and keeping your concentration is definitely difficult.
Yes, and you know, I'm like we kind of talked about last week. I've always done well working from home. Like,
yeah,
being at my home does it actually probably is more productive for me. But being at home with two kids who are also home the whole time is a completely different beast.
Oh yeah, that's where TV is your friend, and then you feel guilty for letting them watch too much TV. So you try to set them up with schoolwork, and you know, then there's the perpetual questions. It really is difficult.
I tried to set them up with some art, and then I swear every 90 seconds they were like, "Take a look at this. Hey, check this out." And I was like, "Oh, that's great. What was I just doing? Oh, that was."
Yeah,
especially trying to work on a little code on a website. I was like, what line was I on?
Yeah.
Did I close that bracket or did I leave it open? Oh, man.
Yeah. I mean, you get distracted when you're coding. That's a nightmare. It takes you about 10, 15 minutes, or at least me, it takes me about 10, 15 minutes to get back to where I was. Because I have to read the previous amount of code to understand what I was doing in the first place.
Actually, that's a great point. It reminds me, there's a great article I would recommend anyone check out that has a little bit of extra time. Paul Graham, the venture capitalist investor, you know, part of the group that started Netscape, has an article on his personal website, and it's the maker versus manager schedule.
Oh,
and
cool.
It's just fascinating. And he says how if you're in a management position, having your day broken up into, 30-minute hour meetings, one after another is fine. But if you're a maker, if you're a creative person, if you're a developer, if you're someone where you're working on this, and development's just as creative as design.
Absolutely.
That same thing. But his thing was, you need to give those folks, 3-4 hour blocks at a minimum, because that interruption, which then takes you 20 to 30 minutes to get back to your place, is just a killer of efficiency.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm going to have to read that after the show. That has actually been, I would say, when I made the transition from being, more the art director where you're hands-on, actually doing the work, and then even just switching to creative director where you're much more strategic and managing a team. That's the hardest transition. Is you go from, knowing that you've got this certain amount of time to get something done, to actually managing the rest of your team members to get it done in that time. And then there's all these meetings, so you're permanently stuck in meetings. They're trying to contact you. It's just it's really difficult. And I think that's partly why I like getting back to more of the hands-on, because I can push back on incessant meetings. So it's like,
yes.
The first question I have to ask myself is, is this meeting necessary for me to be in? And if it isn't, it's just a simple email and saying, hey, I don't know that I need to be in this meeting. I'm in the middle of something. I'm focusing on that.
Yeah. And I mean, even to what you just pointed out, as a good business owner, leader of a, team or entire business or wherever you're at, understanding each person and individual schedule and how they work best is really key to also, setting up those meetings and stuff like that. Is your team do they predominantly, you have to look at it, in the whole of the team, but also in each individual. Some people are just so much better in the morning versus, afternoon or night. And it's like, well, do I give them that big work block in the morning so they're really productive then? And then if they have to have meetings, schedule them in the afternoon. And then where do I lay in our team meeting? Like, where is it going to be least disruptive to everyone's workflow?
Yeah. And then, I mean, I think if you think about managers you've had in the past, and, I would honestly say I can probably count on one hand, one finger, maybe, the amount, the type of manager that's actually given you that level of consideration, which is, hey, I know you're more productive in the afternoon, so let's get your meetings out of the way in the morning, and then you've got that solid chunk in the afternoon to go at it, whatever you're working on at that time. I can only think of one manager, and it was a long time ago, that could do that. But it's really solid advice. If you're running a business, a team, whatever it is, you have to take into account how people work at the group level, but then also at the individual, because it's too easy to treat everyone as part of the group and then realize that, I'm going to, Joe at the end, Joe, your designer, is not producing as well as he could because he's having meetings interrupt his workflow, and we're trying to make him work at his least optimum time, yada yada yada. So really, in order to get the best out of your team, I think that is solid advice. Think about the group, and then think about the individual, and then try to work a schedule that works to them, to make sure you're maximizing them to their utmost efficiency.
No, absolutely. And I actually had a previous job that, it was funny. The timeline of me working there was, early on, we were very decentralized. It was smaller, and there's a lot of autonomy to make your own schedule. And I find for myself, I am very much a early morning person. Mm-hmm. And most people find that quite annoying, especially if you're not a morning person, my wife included, who thinks that the fact by like 7:15 in the morning, I'm at like, full volume, full energy, etc., is can be quite annoying, especially if you're not the type of person who finds, somebody that energetic and enthusiastic at 7 a.m. Exactly. And having two kids who play right into it does it no good. But from a work perspective, I had this opportunity for a while. I would start my day at 6 a.m. Nobody came into that office till almost 8:30. And the one person that did come in early was the owner. And he knew that I was really productive and kind of locked into what I was doing at that point in time. Mm-hmm. And he would never bother me. He'd go about, maybe he would throw coffee on or whatever he had to do, but it wouldn't be until we saw each other, he wouldn't interrupt. But then as time went on, the company really was doing very well, growing fast. And what happened is we added a couple layers of management. Then all of a sudden it was like, well, you can't start at that time because we can't schedule you, due to the, manager's lack of ability to be proactive and schedule and adapt. Yeah. So all of a sudden what would happen was, okay, you can't come in at that time. You now have to come in at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
And what happened is I saw myself, and the owner actually mentioned it over time, was that my own productivity had really fallen. And a lot of it was because I was missing this like 2-hour block where no one was in that office, where I could just get
stuff
maybe
done. Yeah.
3 hours worth, 3.5 hours worth of work done because it was uninterrupted. And it was just such an interesting, thing to see, especially being in the business we're in of like tracking hours and all versus projects, and being able to see that, wow, this what used to take me, an hour and 20 minutes is now taking me 220, 225, 230. And unfortunately, due to this person's lack of ability to manage, all we ended up doing was layering in these like ideas to stop interruptions. Like each person got a light to put on their desk. And if your light's on, you can't interrupt. But, the stuff like that works for 20 days. And then people go back to, hey, can I ask you a question? And all this. And then, it's really about, especially I think as we're all learning through this time, as people are working more remotely, find that sweet spot for them, encourage it. You might, there's that guy that had that e-commerce business. I can't even tell you what it was. It was like a surfing, it was in California, e-commerce. Maybe they did paddleboards or something.
Okay.
And he was going to the 5 or 6 hour workday. And that was his whole premise. He was like, I know how efficient people can be in 5 interrupted hours if they're just like, where if I let them hone in on where that is, they can get 8 hours of work done. I don't need them to sit around for 8 hours. I just need the productivity that is needed in whatever time it takes.
Yep.
It's interesting. And I think we're all learning that is productivity and managing it. It's probably going to be one of the keys out of this coming few weeks, months, whatever it ends up being.
Yeah, I think the business world is changing around us for the better, to be honest. And I think those people that have been on the fence about having people remote, or ones that are worried that people will take advantage of that kind of situation, I think they'll start to realize that actually, hey, it's not that they're taking advantage. They're actually a lot more productive. For that, they're getting 8 hours of work done in 5. That's great.
Yeah, I've actually always been on that side. If you can get if you can get your day's worth of work done in 4 and it's flawless, hey, you know what? Feel free to leave. Don't sit around here for my benefit.
Exactly. You get paid the same no matter what, right? It's not like unless you're hourly. In which case it might pay to stretch it out a little bit, but. If you're that efficient that you're able to get all your work done, it's quality work, and then out at the end of it, you've just got that kind of extra couple of hours of your day back. It's no skin off my nose as a business owner if you go off and leave early. No problem at all.
You know what? I actually always thought that it's keeping them there is actually counterproductive, because once you've really spent all that brain energy and that creative energy, all of a sudden, what are you doing? You're over in the cafe part talking to people, you're distracting other people, you're sending, Slack messages to other people about the baseball game or something like that. You've almost become a distraction.
Yeah, you're wasting time. Yeah, you're wasting time just because you have to. And I think you have to consider that as part of the bigger impact, which is what's that doing for the rest of the company? What's that doing for our, for their productivity? And there's no point just keeping someone there to make up the numbers. If they're finished, it's good. Get them out the door. The rest of your team will be more productive. And if you can find each individual's ideal working kind of where they're most productive, that whether it's morning time, afternoon time, evening time, have at it. Let them work at that time, get the best out of them, and then ultimately it's only going to reflect better on you and your company.
I completely agree. Really, that's probably the best advice that people should be thinking right now of the changing workplace environment. And I doubt we're going to see a lot of lessons, I should say, I think, out of this time for business owners. And especially around remote work. this whole, coronavirus is really kind of shedding light on the benefits of remote work.
Yeah. I mean, you think about it, we've talked about it enough over the past few months that hour and a half commute that you have, or that 45-minute commute, is wasted time. And it still takes you, it still takes some individuals an extra 45 to an hour to get back into the work mindset where they're, okay, this is what I'm on today. I've checked all my emails. I've looked at the news podcast because I've been driving in and I couldn't see it, or whatever, whatever their morning ritual is. It just gets delayed until they're in the office. So they've essentially wasted an hour of their own, an hour of your time, being the least productive they're going to be throughout the day.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But I think, before we kind of gone off on one of our wonderful tangents, but I think it is very relevant. And I know we're coming up to a break. So when we get back from the break, we're going to get into some of the news articles, and also I just noticed this morning something that I'm going to bring up during that time, and then we'll get on with the rest of the show. We are going to be talking about, continuing the conversation about, what to do while during this time. If your business is closed, how can you maximize things and everything else? So when we get back from break, we're going to be on to some interesting topics. Stay tuned, folks. Want to promote your business or sponsor a show? Give us a call at 855-308-5825. And be sure to subscribe to our podcast on Apple, Google, Stitcher, and all your favorite podcast platforms.
This is a public service announcement test from TakeMeFishing.org to determine if you need a fishing license and boat registration before heading out on the water. Let's begin. Are you a bear? Do you have a beak? Does your name rhyme with Bald Beagle? Do you dart in front of cars? Here's a tough one. Do you have plumage? Do you rub your body against things to mark them? Do you have webbed feet? No, I mean like a... Were you hatched? Do you have fur? I'm not talking back hair. Does your boat fly south for the winter with the other boats? Regardless of how you answered, you need to be licensed and registered because it helps local conservation efforts protect the very natural resources you enjoy boating and fishing in for generations to come. Do your part at TakeMeFishing.org.
Good morning, Philadelphia. We're back. Couldn't have had a better ad, considering our earlier topic about fishing. So, don't forget, go and get your fishing license. And unless you mark your territory, there's no reason for you not to. That was a fantastic ad. I loved it. So we're going to get into the news, and it's been, trying to get away from the coronavirus for a little bit. It's virtually impossible these days. But what I did notice is there's, Adobe have been pretty smart, I think. They are they're doing their Adobe Connect kind of conference live over the internet. So it's all going to be streamed and well worth checking out if you're in the creative industry in any way, shape or form, whether you own a design agency or into marketing. Definitely worth getting on. It'd be interesting to see how it pans out because it is normally very much a live show. It's a big event and well worth checking out though. I myself will be tuning in, and I think they've even, again, don't hold me on this, or don't hold me up to this one, I think they've waylaid any charges for it due to it being streamed.
Oh, wow.
So that's a pretty big deal. Even if it's a fraction of the cost of trying to go to the actual event, it's well worth checking out.
Absolutely. A few co-workers went last year and came back raving about what they saw, learned, heard from the conference. That's outstanding. I'll have to take a look.
Yeah.
You actually also reminded me of another great offer out there right now that you and I were talking about, and that's that offer HubSpot put out. You know, HubSpot has a free offer for small businesses right now, you know, to kind of keep you running during this time. So go over to the HubSpot website and check it out. And you know what? You do need a credit card.
Yep.
But as they put into, you know, the landing page, the credit card, the reason for requiring a credit card is they wanted to get it up and running as fast as possible. And their system was set up to require a credit card. Now, it also clearly lays out that you won't be charged. It'll just turn off, you know, they'll let you know. But, you know, if you're really that small business owner that's really taking advantage of this time, it's not a bad idea.
Yeah,
try and check out what HubSpot has to offer.
Yeah, there's been a number of good things going on, and we talked about Google a few weeks back. The other one that is really interesting, if you are a small business owner as well, is if you're managing your social media through one channel, so i.e. you log into Instagram, you post your post, or you have to log into Twitter and you do it that way. And, you know, to look at all the data, you're relying on those particular apps in order to understand them. Hootsuite have just announced that they will give you, I can't remember the exact length of time, but they are opening up their platform for you to use during this time for free. I think they've extended the trial, if I remember rightly. Again, it's going to require a credit card just because that's how their system is set up, but you won't be charged for the next, I think it's 3 months, something like that. But Hootsuite is a fantastic platform to be able to you know, publish content to all of your channels at once. It's also a great metric to, or great tool to be able to look at all the data and see how people are interacting with your content that you're putting out there. And it also enables you to do a little bit of social listening to find out what others are talking about in your industry. So it's a great opportunity to use that tool. Hopefully you'll find it beneficial enough during that extended trial period that you will want to pay for it a full license. But again, another great piece of technology that can really help you during this time where perhaps you're not as busy you know, trying to complete projects and tasks like that, where you can actually focus a little bit just on your own business and how you're marketing yourself.
Absolutely. I mean, as you had pointed out in a previous show, you know, if you are looking for a free photo editing app, downloading Snapseed and Hootsuite could be a great combo to, though you may not need to be mobile in the sense of place to place, but if you just want, you know, that flexibility while you're around the house and everything, you know, having Snapseed and Hootsuite on your phone kind of could let you create and post, you know, a social media update pretty quickly and efficiently.
Yeah, actually, talking of that, I was briefly looking through, doing my normal morning routine of checking out LinkedIn, as I do every morning, to look for ideas and things like that. And there's a video done by a creative director who runs a small design agency, and he just did it as a post just to kind of, you know, give everyone a bit of a chuckle over the morning during this difficult time. He was in his office and he goes, "This is what I get up to when there's no one else around." And he just filmed himself on his phone running around the studio with Iggy Pop playing at full volume. It was just fantastic, and just a great way of looking, you know, a great way to kind of show your culture and that you're not just the boss, you can have some fun too. So yeah,
absolutely,
just a fantastic bit of content, and you know, well worth checking out. So there's been some.
I think that's a great point too, right? If you're a small business owner, a little funny content could go a long way.
Oh yeah,
right now.
yeah. I mean, anything to lift this kind of mood we're in, and I mean, what better way to show your culture than kind of sort of show you having a bit of fun and using this time not only to try to continue working, but at the same time, you know, not everything has to be doom and gloom. There's enough of that in the news as it is.
I'll tell you, we were over the weekend while we were outside, my kids, wife, and I. The kids had a bunch of you know, sidewalk chalk out, and we were talking about a message. So somehow we came upon writing, "It's gonna be all right," in the very big letters down the sidewalk, and then coloring it in. And I cannot tell you how many people walked past and took a picture.
That's fantastic.
Actually amazing.
You may have started a viral trend, my friend.
Kids now they should. Yeah, I said, you know what? It's gonna rain early in the week. You should come up with a new message for Tuesday, and kind of put some positivity out there. It can't hurt.
Absolutely, agreed. I think there's been a lot of that on LinkedIn. People encouraging each other to connect in this difficult time as a way to kind of relieve some of it. So yeah, I think anything we can do just to kind of lift the mood would be beneficial.
Absolutely.
So with that, I think been trying to avoid some of the news, I guess, but there are some interesting things going on in the news world. There was an article on entrepreneur.com which I found kind of interesting, which is the 3 marketing lies small business owners tell themselves. I'm sure we can probably relate to a lot of what this article talks about. The first, and I've heard this a lot, I've heard this from very established businesses actually, and it's kind of surprising that this is a lie that not only small but medium-sized companies actually tell themselves, which is, hey, we don't really need marketing. Unfortunately, yeah, I mean, if you're relying on word of mouth as your mechanism to grow your business, that's only going to go so far. And the only way you can really extend that and actually build momentum and get new customers and extend your reach is, unfortunately, folks, you do need marketing. And one way or another, you have to kind of take advantage of it. You have to understand how to use it, where best to use it, and how not to blow your budget too quickly. I mean, marketing, it will drive brand awareness. It will drive leads into your funnel, and ultimately result into hopefully sales or new business, depending on what you're working on.
Yeah, that myth drives me crazy. I don't understand where it came from. I guess I do. I guess it came from the fact that lots of people have spent, people have spent lots of money on marketing that hasn't worked, that leads them down this path of, oh, no marketing works. But I'll tell you, I got talk about traditional marketing. I got a postcard in the mail from Grubhub, which was perfect. I mean, couldn't be more. I'm sure they used some really, quick print on demand. Let's crank up, our print marketing, because obviously lots of people are getting delivery right now.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously companies like Grubhub and stuff like that, see that traditional, marketing. Not only are they like a tech-forward digital company, but they're going back and using postcards because they know people are still picking up their mail. People say, "Oh, wait, I can get 10% off my first order or $5 off." Well, I've never tried it. I might as well. That drives me crazy. That myth of marketing just never works, or maybe it doesn't work if you're not doing it correctly. But correctly done, it absolutely works.
Yeah, and I think there's a couple of key points to add, right? Which is, I mean, basically, if you look at the data behind Facebook ads, Google My Business, what content marketing does, how many people attend webinars every year, no matter what the topic, the numbers don't lie. They're huge numbers of people reaching brands, right? I think the trick to it is finding the outreach method that works best for your brand and for the budget you dedicate to it. You want to maximize the spend to get the best results. And digital, and living in a digital age, there's no better time to understand how your marketing works and how impactful it is or not impactful, depending on what you're doing. Which leads us to the second lie, which I've just dispelled. There's no way to know whether marketing makes a difference. Well, there is, folks. It's called data. And if you're doing it right, you'll be able to see very quickly the return on investment of your marketing dollars that you're spending, whether that's with a company that's helping you do your marketing or whether it's through your own team. They should be able to pull out the data that says, hey, we drove 2.2 million people to our website, and out of those 2.2 million, we managed to capture 20,000 new email addresses that we are continuing to market to. And out of those 20,000 emails, we got 5 sales. Those 5 customers could be the difference between not earning money and having 5 brand new customers spending $10, $15, $20, $40,000 with your company. I mean, you'd be foolish to let that walk out the door.
Absolutely, because someone else is going to capture it in your industry otherwise.
Absolutely. With all the tools out there, and we've mentioned HubSpot, we've mentioned Hootsuite. There's all these different things. There's GetResponse, Infusionsoft, Marketo. All of these tools are designed to help you streamline and track your ROI, basically, of your marketing effort. So, whoever says e-marketing is dead is foolish. It's still one of the number one ways of continuing the conversation beyond that initial touch point. And so, these tools are there to help you. And if you know how to use them right, and your marketing's focused and targeted correctly, there's no reason why you can't quantify the impact your marketing's having.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. As I always say, if you don't have Google Analytics set up on your website, you're missing the boat, and it's most likely you're going to feel like your marketing doesn't work because you don't know.
Yeah. So again, take a look at that article. It's very interesting. We dispelled 2 of the facts. The third one is kind of a no-brainer for us, and really just plays off of what we just talked about. I think the other interesting bit of news that you came across, Kevin, was the Getting Creative. Small businesses work on ways to keep going, which was on Brainer Dispatch, or whatever. Brainer Dispatch. Yeah. There we go. I'll get my teeth fixed. Interesting article, and I think it ties in nicely to what we're going to talk about for the rest of the show.
No, it does. I think you have to be creative in time like this, right?
Yeah, you got to do things that you wouldn't typically do, right? And I think this article in itself talks about some of the activities that people get up to, like doing little video demos of their products, or kind of advice on how they do certain things. So for me, if it was, if I was promoting, and I probably will be doing this over the next couple of weeks, because I'm working in doing marketing or web design, I might put out a video around how I go about coming up with ideas for a website, how I analyze data to understand how someone's using, just different ways of keeping things going. The great examples of this are chefs. If you're running a restaurant, your restaurant's currently closed down, or you're running a bakery, is why not put a video out there of you showing some of your tips and tricks that you use on a day-to-day basis that can make cooking at home a lot easier. Keeping the example they have is actually Marie Kirsch, owner of the Noddy Pine Bakery, where she explains some of the tools that she uses for cookie baking in order to make sure that the cookies maintain that same consistent thickness. She uses rubber bands on a rolling pin to roll out the dough so that it always stays at the same consistency. And she did it through a Facebook Live post on Saturday. And I think that's great. And it actually shows a picture of her and how she set it up. She's got a cake stand. She's got a little tripod with her iPhone in it, and she's recording herself shooting this video. It doesn't have to be high tech. And if you actually check out the video, which I did, it's a great little video. It's there were some useful insights in there that my kids would enjoy. They like making cookies and baking and such. So yeah, that was a really interesting and creative way of doing it, and it took 2 of them to set it up. Basically, it's well worth checking
agree.
out.
I think that and I think that goes to a couple points. One, video is only going to continue to grow. There's no stopping video. The bandwidth is getting cheaper. Cameras are getting better. And I've actually, besides her, I've seen some local examples around me. My daughter's ballet studio is going to virtual classes.
Yep, mine
My son's
too.
martial arts students is doing, like virtual classes. And if you're a fitness instructor or something like that, instead of losing people, I would be trying to do, like you said, even if you have a tripod or you have to set your phone up on a couple books, you know, today's
Whatever it
phones are
takes.
so good, you know.
Yeah.
My wife, being a teacher, wanted to start. She does, you know, she teaches 5th grade, so she reads to the kids every day. So
That's
we were
awesome.
kind of going over the weekend of, well, what's the best way to do that? And originally, I have to say, I went a little overboard. I was like, well, you know what? We have the lights from Wayne and I set up. I could get the lights and this. And she's like, stop, you're gonna kill me. Like, I need this to be super simple. So she was like, can I just try it with the, you know, MacBook? And I was like, yeah, but I don't know about production quality. So we open a couple windows, sets up the MacBook, you know, gets a seat, does it. The video comes out perfect.
Yeah.
And, you know, the production quality was good, and by far more than what you even needed.
Yep.
But, you know, that's it. You know, you're an expert as a small business owner. You are an expert in something. If it's taxes or insurance or e-commerce or whatever it is, or baking, you know, this is a great time. You're stuck at home. Play around with it. Show your personality off. Just don't make it boring.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, you've always got something to share. No matter how innocuous it seems to you or how routine, it could be the difference for someone who's either in a similar business line or considering using someone like a CPA or a design agency. It could be the difference between them actually signing up with you and becoming a customer. Is just they come across this video where you're very genuine and you're talking about something that resonated with them. And ultimately they go, yeah, that makes a choice. I can work with that person just given the way they behave on the video or what they were talking about. It can be a huge difference.
Especially, yeah, because, you know, there's a million articles out there. Setting up a YouTube channel is, in my opinion, your best way to go if you're a small business owner. It's the easiest. It's free. It's quick to do. You know, get a YouTube channel set up and probably take you maybe 20, 30 minutes at most, more like 5. But, you know, between 30 minutes and over time, you could use something like Snapseed to make the cover art and stuff like that if you want to. But just get it started. You know, just say, hey, this is my small business. Shoot the introduction video. Maybe it takes you 5 takes because you're nervous.
Yep.
But you know what? Once the one's done, the second one becomes easier, and the next one becomes easier, and then, you know, it's just you kind of evolve it. Now you've been able to take this time where, you know, your business might be slow. You've actually just opened up an entire new content marketing channel.
Absolutely. And, you know, just some very quick fire tips. Don't overcomplicate it. Keep it very simple and make sure you're in a well-lit, especially with video or photography, make sure you're in a well-lit environment with as much natural light as you can get away with. And keep it entertaining. I mean, there's nothing worse than listening to someone kind of drawl on with a monotonous tone and it is always the same kind of thing that they're talking about, and then you're bored. So again, just add some energy into it, add some personality into it. Don't be afraid of kind of being excited about it, no matter how mundane it may seem to you. You know, add some excitement in there, you know, have some fun with it. I'd even go so far as to say, you know, when it comes to the type of, or worrying about the quality of how that video looks, at this stage, I mean, just doing it is a step in the right direction. You can worry about quality and you can improve the quality of production over the course of time. But the most important thing is get out of your comfort zone, try something different, and it can make a huge difference to your business.
I completely agree. Well, the only one, I guess, caveat I would put out there is don't have any music on, because, you know, copyrighted music is definitely going to get you flagged on YouTube. So, you know, make sure the TV's off, the radio's off. Try and keep it as quiet as possible, especially with copyrighted stuff. And that kind of goes back to my wife doing a video, and originally she was saying how there was this prevalent, you know, belief that as a teacher you can't put it up on YouTube because all the books copyrights are owned by, you know, the publishing companies. But I found an article that came out in the last week, and each of the publishing companies have done something really good, that they've all opened up the rights for teachers to read the books and post the video on YouTube as long as they leave it unlisted.
Oh, that's awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, that's fantastic news. It gives. I mean, I know our local schools and teachers are doing a lot to help our kids. During this weird and wonderful time that we live in, and again, if they have that ability now to kind of record books and film them, or even just record the audio, it can be a huge impact to struggling readers. Ultimately, it's easier to listen.
Yes.
People tend to follow along more. And even with your more advanced readers, it gives them something to kind of sit down, have some quiet time and listen and still be learning at the same time, which I think is fantastic.
Yeah, because I feel like the kids listen to the teachers way more than they listen to the parents.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Or at least mine.
Yeah, our ones are definitely better behaved for their teachers than they are for us. But I mean, even I love the idea of your daughter's ballet doing videos of lessons. Our teacher's been doing that for a while, and she's my daughter does tap and jazz tap or something like that. And she produced a video of their routine that they're going to do at a big show if it happens at all this year. But it doesn't stop them practicing the dance moves and everything else. So she just filmed it, threw it up on YouTube, gave everyone a private link so you could go and see it. And all the students are watching that and still
That's
keeping up with their
genius.
dance, which is great. Because again, no one knows how long we're going to be in this situation. No one kind of has a definitive answer. And so you can't stop and just think, well, we're going to be stuck like this for months and months and months. Even if we are, you plan as though you're not, because it gives you something to look forward to ultimately, and it keeps you busy.
And we all need to grow, even in these times. You either, I hate to use the analogy in this kind of time, but you're either growing or dying, and in that aspect, you really want to be focused on, you have extra time, read a book, focus on your business, start, even if it seems like it's dying from a holistic point of view, there's a lot of things you can be doing to be growing it. And it often, like the bamboo tree, we don't see the shoot come up for a while, but then all of a sudden it explodes to 60 feet, in a few weeks.
Exactly. Yeah. From little acorns, right? I could
Exactly.
throw many analogies at it. Creating that new content is fantastic. And you've also, if you've been doing it for a while, like producing blog posts and additional content, there's a lot of ways right now that I think you can start to think about, how can I repurpose that content, right? So there's another great article, again, on entrepreneur.com. They're actually running some really good topics this month or this week. We picked on one or two, but there's a couple others I'll talk about after this. We talked a lot about repurposing content and how you can go about it and what to look for. And I think it's a matter of just being smart about how you do it. And this article really gives you some great advice around some of the ways you can leverage your blog posts that are out there. You can syndicate them through networks that are similar to your business, allowing people to read, new people to read your posts. And it feels, to them it's brand new, it's fresh, because not everyone's going to see your content. There are definitely paid services you can use. Outbrain and Arc are some which will represent your posts as recommended reading on their networks and sites. The business to community and Medium is another one that will syndicate your posts for free, which is, to be honest, a great way for a small business to get started. Is look at those free options like Medium, business to community, and start putting your content through their channels to extend your reach beyond those that you get to your website now. So, blog syndication, breaking down those blog posts into smaller bite-sized chunks for social media, putting them out there on Facebook, or, if you've got an article that talks about all these great tips and advice about how to build a great landing page and what a landing page can do for your business, break them into smaller pieces and repurpose them through your social media channels. It doesn't have to be just a big blog post. You can tie it together with smaller ones and cycle them out. I would even say the same as if you've got something like that where you're talking about something extensively, break it down into smaller emails and do it as an email sequence. That way you can publish 7 emails which could carry you through the next 7 weeks of content out to your audience that they will find helpful and useful. And of course, you want to drive a good CTA about, perhaps I'll talk about my own company as a company that does marketing for others. I would take that landing page content, break it into emails, and my call to action would be, hey, if you're struggling to maximize your landing pages and perhaps you're not driving as much traffic and success as you would like, give us a call. It's a way to kind of extend your reach beyond what you've got and maximize your content. And they're full of great advice in this article, and stuff we've definitely talked about on the show as well. So, check it out. It's a great article. And relating to video, they talk about making a transcript of that video and how that can help provide additional content and keywords optimization that you can use for SEO. There's lots of ways you can use existing content right now where your team's kind of fragmented. Rather than recreate the wheel, let's look at what we got and use it in a slightly different way. It's a great opportunity to do it.
No, that's a great point. And that kind of works right into something I had been thinking about that I shared with you, was that if you're a small business owner whose business is down or shut down right now, it's a great time to look at your website, to of go through it from a customer's point of view and start looking at what you can improve.
Yeah, and actually that leads us, we're coming up towards the end of the show, but I think it's worth kind of going over what we were planning on talking about. Just because your business may be limited or closed, or perhaps you're working on a skeleton scale right now, use it to look inward. Look at your operations. Are there ways to improve business operations that you're running? Is your process correct? Can you streamline and can you build in efficiencies? Really look at this time where everyone is remote and say, okay, have I got enough channels, or am I using the right channels to keep communication amongst my employees and team efficient? And look at, maybe it's a case of testing out a few different pieces of technology out there. Slack may be a tool that you use to do day-to-day communications between you and a couple of members of your staff. Looking at your website, there's no better time, to be honest, than when traffic is probably at its highest, because people are not able to connect with you one-to-one. It's not a bad idea to start looking at your website and figure out if there's things you can improve. A couple of key things that I would definitely be looking at right now is overall, what's your brand story? What story are we telling, and does it need updating? Does it need a bit of refreshing? Have we evolved from what our website was? Because typically most small businesses that I see, their website is anywhere from 5 to 10 years old in terms of when it was built or when the content was created. And typically your about page is the one that you actually least update, because we started off like this and this is how we did it. That's great for 10 years ago. Now you've evolved. 10 years have gone past, a lot of things have changed. It's a way of looking at that story and understanding if it's still resonating, if it's actually still true. And very easily just changing some words here and there, changing the flow of it, maybe getting some updated fresh pictures. That's a way of being able to update your website easily. For some of those less frequently updated pages, like the pages you're updating every week could be your blog posts. Your services don't really change, but maybe look at that. Your about page won't change. Your homepage will probably refresh with blog posts, I would think, or video content if you're doing it. So it's a way of looking at that stuff and saying, okay, with these older pages, let's look at these, let's see if we can improve them, let's see if we can enhance them in any way.
No, especially the about page. I think most small business owners who aren't looking at analytics or don't have it running, would actually be shocked at how much traffic goes to about pages, because a lot of times when I dig through analytics for our clients and stuff like that, all of a sudden you're like, wow, one of the heaviest pages almost on all small business websites is the about page.
Yeah.
And that is part of that validation of, I now know what services you do. Tell me why I should do business with you.
Yeah. What makes you different than Joe's Plumbers down the road? And I think that's why that page is crucial, and also your services page. Like if you haven't updated your services page in a year or so, or a couple of years, it's worth looking at it and just saying, okay, is the verbiage we're using here correct? Are we still aligned with the same partners in terms of parts, or maybe software that you're using? And it's worth looking at it and refreshing it if you can, because again, they're high hit traffic pages, and surprisingly, sometimes, especially with the about page, that's where that can be the difference between that person filling in or completing a form or giving you a call to use your services as not. And so if you've got a very compelling story, and what you've put there, the narrative is good, and perhaps you even produce a video of the company owner or someone of one of your key stakeholders actually talking to the audience about why you do what you do and why you're different. That can be a massive boost to conversion.
No, that's a great point. And I think, you know what, the about page is the one page it's really okay to kind of humble brag, so to speak, I guess is the word of realizing that, you know what, tell me what you do. If you are sponsoring the local little league team or the local soccer team or both or all of them, or you donate money to this charity, or you're a board member on this nonprofit or this school or something, make sure that's all in there. There are all the little tie-ins to your local community that are invaluable. I can't tell you how many times I would look at an about page and I'm like, okay, you do that, this is what you do, this is perfect. Well, you support my son's little league program. Well, obviously I'm going to now pick you versus someone else because you're already out there, part of the community, and already doing good things.
Absolutely. And the other page, and again, we're getting towards the end of the show now, so very briefly we're going to talk about the other page that I think is oftentimes overlooked in terms of being refreshed, which is the contact page. I mean, there is a page that, if anything, you want to keep up to date, and you want to open it up to different ways that people can connect with you. So now, during this digital age, people will pick up the phone, but why not throw up your Skype ID and have them Skype you if you can manage it that length of time.
Or a Calendly link, and let them be able to book an appointment at a time that works for them or something.
Exactly. So start taking advantage of the tools at your disposal to better connect you with your audience that are coming to your website. Look at your contact page, look at your about page, try to improve some of the content on your website that you have. And even with your images, let's look at those. Do they feel old and dated? Can we get some new ones in place? There might be some updates you can make there. So hopefully you've enjoyed our show today. And, again, we'll be back next week with more small business advice and news and tips, whether that's marketing or business related. If you missed the first part of our show, please check out our podcast wherever your podcast can be found, and check out our YouTube channel where we post small little videos, little tips and advice, and plus the full shows are always available through our YouTube channel. And with that, Kevin, have you got anything else to add for the day?
No, I don't. Everybody stay safe out there, and we'll look forward to being on next Monday.
Yeah, and remember, folks, there's always tomorrow, and tomorrow can be a very different day.
This is a public service announcement test from TakeMeFishing.org to determine if you need a fishing license.